When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for getting your pot on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that. I'm like feeling overwhelmed on stuff. We're in this new studio and I need to kind of get some things settled in. Like, these guys are so fantastic at the Mac of All Trades building. If you need anything done, you got to go to Mac of All Trades. They're just fantastic. Find them online at macofalltrades.net. But they came in and repainted the wall, so everything's gathered around our table. You really can't see it. And then I'm debating what stays, what goes. School, and it's like right now, all the projects are due. All the projects that everybody's talked about and it felt so far off. And I don't know how I'm going to get all this done. Sometimes you ever wonder where you go, well, what did I do? And I feel like I somehow bit off more than I can chew, which is typical for me. And then, of course, I self-sabotage myself in other areas that usually involve, alcohol a little bit, but I'm getting better at that. And I got to tell you, like, there's so many things that I want to do, especially now that we're in this new space and school stuff, and I feel like I'm starting to figure it out. Now if I can, all of it. You know what it means? It means I can't really go have fun anymore. But, just to give you an example is how overwhelmed. Like, I'm in the shower today, and I'm talking to myself. Not like a schizophrenic person who actually sees someone there and is having a conversation. I'm just, like, thinking out loud. And I washed my hair twice because I couldn't remember. And on the second time, I go, God, I already did this. And then I leave the house and I get in the car and I go, I left my phone inside and then I can't find it. And I got my kid call. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these little things. And I thought Adderall would correct that stuff, but maybe I need a higher dose. I don't really know. But speaking of fun, over the long holiday weekend, of course, there is the legendary Macy's Day Parade. And today's guest once got college credit for waking up at 3 a.m. to listen to me talking to a microphone. And somehow, after that trauma, she still wanted to work in entertainment, and she still actually talks to me. Hello, Alex.
Hi.
So,
how are you?
I'm great. Alex was involved this year in the production. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely.
Of the Macy's Day Parade, the legendary Macy's Day Parade. And
it was awesome.
She let me know that she was doing this and said, hey, if you want, I can get you in up close to the balloons. So my son and I, and along with my brother and his family, went down on Wednesday, and they went to the Rockettes. Everything got delayed in the morning. We didn't get out of there in time. It was all this stuff. Might have been my fault. I think I was doing a project for school and I ran a little over. So when we get there, they went to the Rockettes, and Jameson and I went uptown to the west side to see the balloons. And Alex just got us through. The police would go, hey, and then she's like, nah, they're with me. And it was so cool to walk in. And we're like in the residential area. I think they were residential streets, right?
Yeah.
People were waiting hours to get into the balloons, and we just right in there. And how, I know, that was like, I was like first class treatment. And it was amazing to me to see how big those balloons are in person. They're huge. And if I were really good at this podcasting thing, I would have video rolling right now as we're talking about it. But I didn't do that. Only because it required an extra step I didn't have time for today. I was doing invoice, all kinds of shit. Anyway.
Add it to the social teas later.
Yeah, I will. And but it was so cool. And I have to tell you, I got a 15-year-old son, and having had a 15-year-old son yourself, that they're not impressed by a whole lot. And in the end, I think he really had a lot of fun. He was disappointed because he really wanted to go to Chinatown to some store. And I'm like, buddy, it's on over an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get from the Upper West Side.
Especially that day, like that weekend, there's a lot of trains shut down. You know, I don't think people realize like the parade is a huge to do, obviously, but it literally shuts down the entire city. Trains get rerouted and streets are closed and you can't walk through where you normally would be able to, just all in pursuit of this big event, which is, you know, spectacular and awesome. But it's also, you know, a bit of a pain to kind of navigate. And a lot of people will use Google Maps and stuff to get around the city if you're not from here, which is very helpful on a normal day. But when there's a big event in town, the marathon or the parade or something like that, it's just kind of much harder to navigate. Google Maps hasn't caught up with the closures yet. So, you know.
Talk to me about that because, I mean, when did you join the Macy's Day Parade team?
I joined the team in September, end of September.
End of September.
So I've only been doing it for like two months proper.
How
3 months.
How long are they planning this parade?
Oh, they start, like, planning starts for them, especially this year, because next year is the 100th anniversary.
Okay.
So they'll start planning like for next year right now.
Right now.
Because it's so much bigger, I think, than people even realize. Because not only is it a televised TV show produced by NBC, it's also a giant public event with one of like the largest volunteer programs in the country. So it's a live event plus a televised event together. So I just think people don't realize the scale. So you imagine there's like an entire team at NBC who handles their portion of it. And then there's an entire team at Macy's who handles theirs. And obviously like teams within those teams. It's a giant to do, bigger than I even thought it was.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like you have to close down streets.
Mm-hmm.
The balloons are filled up Wednesday. When do they get in place? Are they put in place like Wednesday morning?
The cool thing that I don't think a lot of people know is that Wednesday night around 3:00 in the morning, they do what's called the convoy, and they bring all of the balloons and floats because they live in New Jersey in these studios and warehouses, and they bring them all over the night before around 3:00 in the morning. And it's probably like, it's like a parade within the parade, because there's the city electricians come out ahead of the trucks and they swing all the light poles out of the way all the way down the route.
I don't know why I never thought of that.
Neither did I. Like as the floats and balloons are coming down, they're swinging the light poles out of the way all the way down to I think about 66th Street or something like that, which means nothing to you. But then about, I think 8 o'clock in the morning, they start flowing the helium because they want all the inflation teams out there in the little jumpsuits, because it's a community event. A lot of people come to see it. They don't want to get
at that hour, 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah, 6, 7 in the morning, because it takes, there's
there it is, 6, 7.
6, 7. There were 18 balloons this year, so it takes a certain amount of time, and they really put on this event, which is the one you came to. It's called Inflation Day, and it's a community event, and they want people to get an experience, so they kind of stagger the way they inflate the balloons so that the press can get their shots and the public can see each phase of. You wouldn't believe the people that come through and like are upset that their balloon is already inflated when they were just dying to, you know what I mean?
Oh, they wanted to see it happen.
They wanted to see it happen, and they get there and it's already done.
Yeah.
But I've worked on some cool projects in my career. This was probably number one. I mean, just in terms of everything. And it's funny because my day-to-day leading up to Wednesday when I saw you was very much like spreadsheets and logistics, and that's the world I was in. Budgets, you know what I mean? Nothing like, ooh, this is fun and creative. And then you get there and it's like, wow, just wow.
Yeah, I mean, just the coordination of closing off the streets and rerouting people and setting it up so people can walk by and see these things, and you're still dealing with people who live on these streets that are
absolutely,
trying to grocery shop and navigate getting back to their home, and you know what I mean. It's like there's so many layers. The light poles, excuse me, I would have never thought of, and that's just one aspect, right? But
that's one tiny aspect, and then you have all of the partnerships. Who is going to have a float in this year's parade? Who is going to be the celebrity that's going to be on that float? What are the costumes going to look like? Who is
that your job to find out, to get the celebrity to be on there?
That is not my department. I was very much operations. So,
but I would think
it is Macy's job to find the celebrities that want to do it, and kind of figure out what makes sense for the year. A lot of people were really like confused about the celebrities this year, Busta Rhymes and Lil Jon and Debbie Gibson and Jewel. And you have to think the people that are at home watching this parade and cooking their Thanksgiving dinner are very much my age and your age. And those are the people that perform. Busta Rhymes was hot when we were younger. Jewel was, Pieces of Me and all that. Like, so of course it makes sense, because back in the day they used to cater it to your mom, who was the one making Thanksgiving dinner, and so they had celebrities that made sense for them. And so I think they do a really good job, and they get a lot of good partnerships. Like they got Pop Mart this year, so they had the Labubu's, and that's obviously a craze that I understand but don't.
What are they?
A Labubu? You've never heard of one?
No.
Do you remember?
That's what happens when you fall down and scrape your knee. A labubu.
A labubu in French.
Yeah.
They're these little they're stuffed animal toys, and they have like a little gremlin face. I'll send you a picture of them. But they are so popular. They are everywhere. Anybody with kids, ask your son about Labubu. He knows about it.
Okay.
And they're huge this year, and they have sold out everywhere. It's kind of like a Beanie Baby, like what we used to do with Beanie Babies. Remember those collectible Beanie Babies, or like the troll dolls?
Yes.
They had the crazy hair. That's kind of what it is. And you have to have one in every color, and they have special ones that you can only collect in certain places, and you can trade them, and they're worth money. It's crazy. But it's a craze that happened, and they were able to pull off a partnership this year and do a whole float and everything else. So it's amazing.
Does it cost money for people to be in the parade, like a company per se?
Yeah. Anybody that has a float
great
or
marketing.
Balloon, it's great. I mean, it's sponsored, many of them. So like the Lint float and the Hallmark float, all those are obviously sponsored by, whoever's name is on it. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is Nickelodeon. And they establish these partnerships year over year. The creative teams spend a lot of time trying to figure out like what makes sense, what's going to make for a fun show, what kind of Broadway elements should we have, all those things. The Rockettes had to do something extra special because this is their 100th year.
Yeah,
so
right.
Just all these tiny little elements. And then the opening act, the Cynthia Erivo, really what people don't know is came together very last minute. Like, within a couple of weeks, it was decided that she was going to be the one. She's the woman from Wicked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was decided very last minute they were going to do this whole open, and they pulled it off fully. I mean, it just like the way this machine works is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And this is a team that's prepared for everything. I mean, everything. We got 2 different sets of rain gear to wear. Like, one was reflective if we were going to be out at night, and the other one was just regular, because if it rains, they want you to be protected. I have worked on 1,000 shows. You do know what happens if it rains? We get a text message. It's going to rain. They are prepared, hats and gloves and everything you can possibly think of. They have it there to make this thing happen. And the 2 companies, Macy's and NBC, work so seamlessly together to like pull this off and make this happen. And yes, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of hangups. There's a lot of things that like, oh no, that went wrong. It poured all night of rehearsal. And we were like, no, it can't rain tomorrow for the parade, because the parade will happen. But then we have to go dry out every balloon and every costume. And you know what I mean? It's stuff you don't even think about. Like
all night long, you'd have to dry them out.
So last year it rained, and they had to go in Friday, and to the warehouse and have every balloon spread out and fans everywhere and every costume dry, because you can't put those things away wet because they'll mold.
Wow.
So just like you have to think, like, in any circumstance, if it's too windy and they can't fly a balloon because of what happened with Barney, they have to think about all
What happened with
these
Barney?
little things. In 1994 or 1986, the Barney balloon got caught in a wind gust and went crazy and like was gonna injure some people. And I guess a few years before that, they had a balloon take down a light pole and kill someone.
Whoa.
So
Yeesh.
the cops had to bring the balloon down. They have their balloons are on these lines and they had to wind the balloon down. But in order to get it down fast enough so it wouldn't hurt somebody, they were like stabbing it to get the air out of it. So a bunch of little kids are literally watching the NYPD hack into Barney.
This is so... Oh, God, that's so funny. Well, I do remember reading a little bit about the parade with my family this year. Because my brother did go. He stayed in the city. I didn't want to deal with the crowds. I guess I was a bit of a wimp to do that. But what's that?
I told you I would have got you seats.
Yeah, I know. But I also knew, like, I think my mom was disappointed because my brother told her not to go to the city because her ankle's bothering her. And so I think she was a little put off by that. So I said to her, I will come home. I will come back to your house with Jameson. And she and I actually went out that night. Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And Rhinebeck was popping. At one point, there's this really cool bistro that I like there. And it got so overrun that I felt like I was in a sorority house.
Wow.
It was all these young girls, and they're like, hi. And as I'm watching this, and don't forget, I'm an old guy now. I'm watching this, and I go, honey, you're trying too hard. It was like these girls who, like it was kind of chilly. It was like, maybe 35, 40 maybe. I don't know. They're in open back stuff, and they're holding their purse just right, and they're excited to some people, and they're pretending they don't see other ones. And I don't know who they're pretending not to see, but I know you're pretending not to see somebody. And it was, I go, God, it's like, ugh, I'm so glad I'm not that age anymore. And they're young college kids, and they'll go through the stuff. At one point, though, there was a girl, and I turned, and her ass was like right in my face. And I had never seen these angel jeans. It was almost like a tramp stamp on the waist of the jeans. Had not seen this.
You were up close.
Well, I couldn't help it. I didn't go anywhere. I was just sitting there as I'm trying to eat my barbecue duck taco. That's the kind of restaurant this is. As an appetizer and a glass of wine. And I finally said to my mother, we have to go. And so we went over to a wine bar where it wasn't much better. But my mom's like, oh, I love it here. And they had a DJ, and it's thump, 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 thump. And I'm like, this isn't me. And she's like, oh, I think it's great. I'm like, you think it's fucking, oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. But anyway.
Your mother dancing.
I didn't. We sat at the wine bar. But so I didn't stay in New York, and that was part of the reason why. I know when we were reading about the parade, I think in the early years, they used to let the balloons go afterward.
They used to have a bunch of them that they would release at the end.
Yeah, at the end. And then I think it was like the 1930s, which I don't know what aviation was like then, but it caused a plane crash. I think.
Did it really?
I'm pretty sure if you look it up, when they stopped releasing the balloons because a plane crashed.
That's amazing. So the fun fact about that balloon release is back in the day, if you found one of those balloons that had flown away in the bouquet and brought it back to Macy's, you would get $100 credit.
Wow. Hey now.
Right. So think about like in the 20s and 30s, that's pretty good.
That's an entire outfit. I mean, that's an entire wardrobe. Excuse me.
What they don't tell you in the introduction packet is why they stopped doing it. That's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure that we saw that online, that it caused a plane crash in the 1930s. And all I was thinking was like, I don't know what aviation was like in the 1930s in terms of
Oh yeah, that's true. Like,
Was it jets? Are we still dealing with, was it
how low were you
Snoopy?
able to fly in
Yeah,
the city
Snoopy and the
limits? You
Red
know what I mean?
Baron. What are we
Yeah,
doing here? What are we
what are we
going?
doing?
We're in a biplane. I have no idea because I'm going to kind of a cold time of year. So I'm assuming
Absolutely.
it was a jet, and I thought it was 1936, but I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, the
There's a
coordination.
lot of lore about, there's a lot of, I mean, obviously 100 years, there's a lot of lore. But the best one I found so far that went viral in the team was the other day. I was on Instagram and I saw a video of a guy who was like, the 2020 Macy's Thanksgiving parade happened, but not the way you thought it did. And then he launched into this whole explanation that actually the COVID pandemic and the shutdown of the city was pre-planned because we have aliens that we found on Venus hidden beneath the Herald Square toilet, and that we used the Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloons as Trojan horses to finally move these aliens out of the city. Because in 2020, obviously the parade was scaled down. They did a small live event on Thanksgiving Day, but like all the major elements were kind of pre-taped over a couple of days. So it wasn't the parade like normal, but
Right.
this conspiracy was that we used the balloons to transport aliens that we had found in the 50s out of the city.
Then that's freaking crazy. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Like, I'm watching the video and you definitely got sucked in because the narration was like, it didn't happen the way you thought it did. And I was like, okay, what's the conspiracy? You know what I mean? And then he said aliens. I was like, how did you get to aliens?
I mean, the
That's
Trojan horse
amazing.
theory, it could hold a little water. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Those are big balloons.
Yes.
Depends on the size of these aliens
Sure.
and like how many fit in there.
That's really funny.
You can just imagine like Tina at the studio, like shoving aliens inside.
I always wonder why.
Gotta get this done, guys.
I don't know. Are aliens supposed to be more evolved than we are as humans? Like some of their technology and things are more evolved than us?
I think that's the theory because we can't imagine that like by the time they reach us, we can't imagine that like the technology that it would have taken to get here has to be more advanced than anything we have because we haven't found them yet.
No, but
I think like they've always been here. Like think about the ocean. We've explored like 12% of it. There's got to be something in there. It's like 3/4 of the planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're telling me there's not something in there? There's something in there.
But the weird part to me is every alien I've ever seen has no muscle tone.
Right. It doesn't. Well, I don't know.
I mean, there's no muscle tone. They're like these.
Can you get ripped in the vacuum of space?
I don't know. No, you can't. Your muscles atrophy. You need gravity.
There you have it.
You need gravity.
So we've got that part.
Well, we got gravity, and you got to lift heavy things and make use that body of yours. You're going to start looking like an alien. You don't want to do that.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Tell me about I thought you said earlier that the celebrities are selected by Macy's, but not the company that's paying for the float. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a partnership for both. Like the Macy's creative team will take like there's a whole plan because obviously every float is a story, every balloon is, you know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I want, Snoopy in this year. It has to be a whole story for the brand. Why is Snoopy in the parade this year? Well, because it's, 75 years of Charlie Brown Christmas and whatever is relevant for Snoopy, right? And then it's, okay, well, what makes sense for who should represent Snoopy, who makes the most sense, or who's along the lineup, like where Snoopy is in the parade, what would be fun for people to see, what kind of a performance. And then it's it's a lot of back and forth. It's like we think it should be Heart, and then it's like, oh no, Heart doesn't make sense because they're an old band. And it's like, well, then maybe it should be some K-pop thing. It's like, well, they're maybe too new. So it's a lot of back and forth, and they find somebody in the middle that fits, and lo and behold, Thanksgiving Day, it's Debbie Gibson or whatever.
Well, yeah, the K-pop Demon Hunters were they were in there.
They were, and that is the first time ever that those three women have performed together.
Wow.
Because they're recorded separately and put together. So they had to get together to make sure they could sing together,
Mm.
because it's not hard to sing a separate track and then have a producer come in and put it all together and harmonize it with, all kinds of tools. It's a much different thing to be together and to be singing. And even if they're singing pre-recorded, you would still want to have a sense of what it would be like to perform with these people. You wouldn't want to do it. You would want
Right.
the time to, otherwise people would know. And that kind of ruins the fantasy a little bit.
Yeah. Believe it or not, know nothing about the K-pop Demon Hunters other than
I don't know anything
that they
about
exist.
the show. The show.
I do. I hear the show is from adults. They go, yeah, as far as a kid's show, they love it.
It's the biggest thing Netflix has done yet, which doesn't surprise me. I've worked with a couple of K-pop groups in different capacities. And one time we did an interview with this K-pop group, ITZY, and they had to be brought into the studio for their interview, like in their van, because they can't get out on the street and walk into a building because they just get mobbed by fans. Wow. So they had to drive them in and then bring the van up and then let them out inside, like it's a giant warehouse. And then we did the interview in like the back corner. But they are a sensation, and all the young kids know about them, and they dress like them, and they, for them to, that's another one, like the Pop Mart one, the Demon Hunters, the fact that they got a whole balloon and a performance in the parade this year is, wow, it's impressive.
It is impressive. Now, what was your role at the parade itself on parade day?
I was working as a part of the operations team. So I was helping to do like kind of all the logistical things, like all roads lead through operations. We were the ones making sure that the light pole guys knew what time to be out there to swing the light poles, and to make sure that, everything was in working order ahead of time. So we were doing like a lot of walkthroughs with them to check electricity and things like that. Working with all the city agencies, from the NYPD to the FDNY to the mayor's office, to make sure that, the street closures and subway closures and the amount of security and things we're going to need line up with what our expectations will be for the parade. So there's a ton of meetings with those agencies to talk about everything. And in addition to the NYPD, we also hire several independent security teams. It's one of the most secure events. Like the day before, Tuesday, I was out at the warehouse finishing up some last minute packing that was for stuff that was going to be shipped out to the Upper West Side on Wednesday. And the security guard pulls up. He's a sweetheart. He was like, "Are you guys going to be done soon?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "Well, the Port Authority is on their way, so you guys got to get out of here." So the day before, Tuesday, they close down the warehouse and completely secure it. And the Port Authority goes in and completely sweeps every balloon, every bin, every float for everything you can think of, explosives and whatever. And they make sure. And then when they come through the convoy, they're flanked by police, like through the Lincoln Tunnel and everything, to make sure that there's no traffic impeding them and they get to where they got to go on time. So our team gets all those little measures in place with all these departments. Then we also do things like toilets and signage and, fencing and things like that. And then our department also handles the volunteers, the balloon program. Anybody that you see underneath a balloon holding it is a volunteer, and we're the ones that kind of run that program. Make sure the volunteers know how to fly the balloons for safety. Make sure they
how do
show
you
up
become
where they're supposed to be.
How do you become a volunteer for that?
So a lot of the volunteers have been there for a really long time, and they will sponsor someone. Or if you work at Macy's, you can volunteer to hold a balloon. Okay. So usually like getting from someone, it's not as difficult as you think. And there also is an application process. It's easier to get in if you have someone who can sponsor you. But I will say, from working with these people, they are the most passionate human beings some of them have been doing parades longer than I've been alive.
Wow.
And I'm not young. And they love it. And they know all the history. And we went and did this thing at the Today Show, and they were the only ones on our team working the crowd and giving the kids the balloon to hold. And they love this show, and they love being a part of it. It was, it's fun because sometimes in the entertainment industry, you can get jaded. You can be around every celebrity. You can get backstage access to whatever you want, and then suddenly you're too cool for school. It's very refreshing to see somebody excited about something the way they were the very first time. It made me more excited, like,
Sure.
wow,
Yeah.
this actually is so and life-changing for people. You know what I mean? They love this. And I get it because I just did it and I loved it too.
But the day of the parade, what were you doing? Timing?
Yeah, so my job the day of the parade was pacing.
Pacing.
So there's a time when the float or balloon or performing group leaves the starting line, and then there's a time that they have to be at 34th Street, Herald Square, to do their performance for the cameras. So I was in real time putting in every time somebody left the starting line so that the people at NBC could go, okay, it's 8:10. They're supposed to be here at 9:14. They're 2 minutes early. They're 3 minutes late, so that along the route, they can be held up or sped up as needed so that they still arrive in Herald Square at the time they're supposed to for their on-camera performance, and everything runs smooth as silk. But I had the best seat in the house. I saw every single thing go by, like front row.
That's crazy.
It was amazing. I was like, thank you for giving me this job today. I could have had any job. I could have been directing crowds. I was not.
I didn't see the full parade, I don't think. Was Jimmy in it, Fallon?
He was not this year.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
And I think it's because he had just done his show, and like they might not have had time to get a performance together for him with the roots and everything, because he'd just come off he just did a reality show, like a
oh, that's right. Yes.
Apprentice.
Yeah. I did see a little bit of that. Yeah, because I have a friend who usually would go down, and he wasn't going this year, but he didn't say whether Jimmy would be in it or not, so I didn't know. And I figure with NBC, it's a great opportunity to get out there.
Yeah.
And
no,
do
this year
stuff.
they had they had a couple people from SNL, Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers, if you know them, the La Culturistas.
Yes, and I did.
They were in the front row.
I did,
as special guests.
I did see a friend of mine who wrote some pop culture stuff on there, and he said he was getting geared up for the people who were going to be upset by Bowen Yang coming out and the person's changing the lyrics from her to him, and then kissing Bowen Yang's hand. And he said, I was waiting for social media to explode, and no one said anything. And I was like, good. Because it just doesn't matter.
Like, of all the things, like, everybody just shut up already.
It's but you had record numbers this year.
How I feel.
Record numbers, right?
We had record numbers, 34 million. As of a couple of days ago, Variety reported we had 34 million viewers.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And last year there were 3.5 million in person. So I'm sure we broke that record this year. I don't know what the actual numbers were. I'll probably find out tomorrow. But it feels like such an incredible accomplishment. Like, I'm hoping we win the Emmy now, because that would be amazing.
Okay.
So it feels like
what category of Emmy?
It's like televised special, I think it is.
Okay.
But last year they gave it to the Disney parade, which I found very interesting, because you figured like 34 million people are watching the Macy's parade this year. Who is watching the Disney parade? It doesn't matter. I'm not on the Emmy committee. It doesn't matter. But I would like to win.
Yeah, I got to think, like, even high school bands that come in, it's such a big deal. When do they start applying for that? Now?
They know 3 years in advance
what
year they're going to be in the parade. Because you have to imagine they have to fundraise, they have to get some of those bands are 300 kids, they have to fundraise, they have to get hotel rooms.
How pissed are you if you're a sophomore and then the next 2 years you're out? You're out. You didn't get in.
It's so funny. The kids were rehearsing and one of the marching bands comes in. And it's miserable and it's pouring down rain, but they have to do their full rehearsal because this is really the only chance they get to do it before showtime. And you just want to make sure you know where to go when you get to 34th Street. It's a good idea to do it, even if it's pouring down rain. But there are kids in the marching band who don't play an instrument or twirl a baton. They just hold a sign. So I'm standing there, and the CEO of Macy's is standing in front of me. And I said, imagine how bad you have to suck to be the sign holder.
You didn't say this. You said it to the CEO of Macy's?
And she was laughing.
That is hysterical. Yeah.
This poor kid is just standing on either side of this thing like he's not even marching. You're not holding an instrument. Like, I would be pissed.
I gotta say,
you made the marching band. You're the sign holder. Like, I can't twirl a baton or nothing. Like, no.
Boy, your time as an intern on that show of assholes was well spent. That's a great line. So what's next for you? I mean, you've done reality TV. We talked to you about 16 and Pregnant Reunion or Teen Mom or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were doing some other shows. You did Deb's House, which is a great show, and I encourage anybody to see that on Peacock or Netflix.
Season 2 was great. It was great.
And Deb is whose mom?
Waka Flocka.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And my kid knew it immediately when we were walking through. He's like, "Oh yeah, Waka Flocka." It's like,
he lives in Atlanta.
Yeah. Gave you the whole.
Yeah,
I go, why can't you just remember the stuff for school? I got to learn about Waka Flocka, but you know all that. I mean, you can give me the history of Waka Flocka. You can give me the backstory on somebody's this and that. I go, it's not like you don't know stuff. You know the stuff that you want to know, but this isn't stuff that's going to benefit you. How is this benefiting you today is all my thing. But I can't say that, and I just have to because they sound like, typical dad, and I don't want to do that to him. So, but
because, I'm coming from somebody who was probably the same way as Jameson in school, like smart, but doesn't really doesn't apply yourself, as my parents would say. I was just not interested in it.
Yeah.
And then when I found something I was interested in, I put 110, so it's
that, I mean,
it's
I'm guilty of that.
Education,
sure.
And it's hard to get them through it just to get out of this until they can actually pursue a passion. But I get it. I do get it. Like from the other side, I'm like, because that shit's boring, dude.
Yeah, what is
Who cares? Because I'm never gonna talk about an isosceles triangle outside this fucking room ever again.
What is next for you?
I don't know. Like, thankfully, this relationship with Macy's has already opened some doors for me. There's a couple of event companies that have reached out to me since, so I'll be talking to them about stuff. Weirdly, in the middle of this all going on, I got reached out to again by Mr. Beast, which would be the second time they have called. And so I might be going out and doing this. The first time I didn't go down and do a site visit. The second time I might, just to see, like, who cares? Which is obviously YouTube's the biggest YouTube channel in the world.
Would you have to move?
I would have to move. He's based in Greenville. It's the nice thing about them, what I will say, and this isn't proprietary information, so I can tell you, is when they want to do a hire, they do a 90-day trial period. So they bring you down and they put you up in corporate housing, similar to how you would be if you were on the road for a show. And they give you 3 months. That way you don't get rid of your apartment and sell all your things and relocate.
Wow.
And when you get there, it's not the vibe for you and it's not the vibe for them. Then you've uprooted your whole life. And then what do you do?
Right.
So they give you 90 days. And then within that 90 days, I think you produce 2 videos, which gives them the opportunity to see how you're going to do within their system, because they operate very differently from any other production out there. They just do. They have things are shot as if they're live because they're one shot, because Jimmy doesn't want things to look fake, which I understand. So it's set up like a live show, and then there's producing on the back end, which is like a whole, you know what I mean? It's not what they do in live. Live, it's live. You see what you see, and that's it. This is shot live and then edited to make sure that it's as many minutes as it needs to be for YouTube, and unnecessary things are cut out and graphics can be added and stuff like that. So really tries to keep it authentic. So I'll produce 2 videos, see how that goes, and then make a decision. If I say yes, they'll give me relocation money. So in addition to like putting you up, then they help you move, because he owns the whole town of Greenville, so they can help you find a house. That's the only part of it that just feels a little weird. You know what I mean? You're just like, once you're in, you're just into this compound, and I was gonna say, it's like joining
a cult.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm a bit of a free bird. I like my freedom.
Yeah.
But also, I've had my freedom for 20 years. I need health insurance.
Gotcha. What's the would you still be able to do things on your own?
If I were working for him, it would be much harder to take on independent projects.
But I mean,
which is a nice thing, because I would be full time doing that.
Right.
And I just wouldn't have time. You'd be producing, like I said, they do things very, like their producing style is very different. It's kind of intense a little bit because you have to stay relevant or die. They're the biggest channel for a reason, and they have to keep going because, you know what I mean, for all the reasons. They have to keep sponsorships and whatever. So they just do it different. I just don't think I would have time.
You don't think you'd have time to like write your own stuff?
Which would be a bummer. You know, I mean, I think I would have time. You know, you always have time. But I think it would just be much harder. And I have a couple of projects that I really want to get off the ground. Like for realsies.
Yeah.
That have some, you know. So
yeah. The one that you wrote that I read, I loved it.
Did you? I sent you the second one.
The second one I haven't read yet, and I apologize for that.
No,
I've just
okay.
been a little bit upside down.
I'll send you. It's a little bit. I'm a little bit farther along with it, and I've changed some things, so I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's just fun. It's been fun to get in and write this stuff. I want to get these things submitted. You know, I got plans. I want to get them made.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm noticing like you know, it would almost be I don't want to run out of time.
Right.
I don't want to run out of time.
I don't want to have any like, damn, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Like before I can. If I'm working for a Mr. Beast, it might be a situation where like, damn, I could have made my movie, but I didn't because you know what I mean? Or it could be like, thank God I worked for Mr. Beast so I could have the seed money so I could make my movie. So you really never
100%. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And nothing has to happen tomorrow. Everything kind of goes with it. I think, you know, for a lot of things, I'm a bit of a risk taker.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. You know, my world got turned upside down, and I just decided, oh, we'll try this. We'll just try it. And I took a bunch of money, and
you have to.
I threw a bunch of money at it, and I know that there were family members going, "What the fuck is he doing?" And I mean, even my father said to me a year later, he goes, "I didn't think it was going to work." And I'm not saying that it's blown the doors off, but I did something that many people can't do, right?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people like basically laugh in my face.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you're trying to do?
Sure.
And I was like, just watch watch me. Go do it.
And I often
hold my beer.
I saw an interview today, this morning. We're taping this on the Sunday, and I do enjoy the CBS Sunday Morning Show. And I saw an interview with James Cameron. And when you look at the shit that guy did, so he was a truck driver, and he wanted to. I guess he had gone to college, and it just wasn't for him, and he didn't. So he wound up being a truck driver, but he was so interested in this stuff that he would go to the USC library and into the archives and read everything about production and animation and lighting and all this stuff. And he said he would, Xerox it is the word he used, which is so funny, right? Because that's
funny.
I am. And he said, I had these binders, and it was like a master class. It was like a graduate level course on how to do it. So then he eventually got jobs, but because he was so technically knowledgeable and self-taught, like went in and did it, self-taught, right? That he was able to then move up in these companies, and then eventually wrote Terminator and did this thing and co-produced that. It is. And yet when you look at the shit that this guy does, you go, I mean, Terminator was like puppetry and strings, and, Alien was something like
technology
that. And then
Schwarzenegger.
Right. And now he's got a museum, a private museum of all the props for movies he's done.
That's
and
amazing.
then, like his whole thing was, I want to explore, because I'm interested in it, the Titanic. I want to go down in submarines and look at it. But in order to get that funded, I need to come up with a story. So he's like, all right, I'll write this story. He goes, I'll make it Romeo and Juliet. and that's what he did. And it became the biggest box office grossing.
That's all in pursuit of just wanting to see the Titanic.
All in pursuit of that. That was the whole purpose. Yeah. And then took
That's making the system work for you.
Right. And then took 8 years off and did all this exploration, and then came back and started Avatar. And Avatar looks insane to how to even produce that. Like the way the people, Sigourney Weaver, I think is in it now. It's nutty. But one of the things he said was, I love doing things I don't know how to do. I love doing things I don't know how to do. He goes, I hope when I'm 87 and have an oxygen tube up my nose, I'm still doing things I don't know how to do. And
I love that.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's a different way of because most people fear doing something they don't know how to do. James Cameron, and I went, shit, man, I didn't know how to do a podcast. I still don't know how to do a podcast. I know how to talk. I know how to be somewhat entertaining. I know how to appeal to guys. I know the radio side of it. That's not the podcast side of it.
Right.
It's not.
But you're doing it anyway.
I'm just doing it and learning. And then I somehow, like, you know, this graduate school program, it came to me on a Saturday with classes beginning on a Tuesday. And I go, sure. Because I don't have enough shit. And yet all of it somehow I believe is going to come together, podcast, all of it. And
100%.
It's amazing. And I think like there's no wrong answer, but I used to always go, oh, you got to work 24/7. You just got to change your mindset. I'm realizing, I have to. Like, there's a Buffalo Bills game, and I would love to go watch it with my friends today, but I can't. I have my son, and I've got to make dinner and prepare for the week, and I've got other projects for school that I need to finish up, and in order to make all this stuff work to the level that I want it to, I got to work like all the time. Like, I really have no time for anybody in my life.
But I think you get rewarded for that.
Oh, I do too.
What I've learned about life is, like, I usually get what I want, but I have to just get beat up until I get it, because I fall into old patterns. Or
there you go.
I try to, you know what I mean? So
there you go.
So what I figured out really, because obviously, like, when things are going wrong, I want answers. And so I do a lot of reading about manifesting and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And really what it is, you can't think your way into $1 million, really. You can't just sit here and go, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, $1 million shows up. What sitting here thinking, I want $1 million, I want $1 million does is it actually changes your mindset, which changes your behavior. So instead of going out this weekend and spending $3,000 at the club, I'm saving it. And then in 6 months, I go, oh shit, I have $1 million.
Wait a second. Who was dropping $3,000? You're dropping $3,000 at the club?
Sometimes.
My God, that's amazing over there. I don't know. I think if I drop like 200 in a night, I go, God damn, what do you think, you're made of money?
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just
I do.
All in the way you think about it. If you change your thoughts, you will change your behavior. So you will have time, and you will get rewarded because you had the discipline to not go watch the Bills game today, and you got all your shit done. And oh my God, you found yourself having all this free time.
Well,
and something more fun happened, and you did something more fun than watching the Bills game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think life like provides that for you. Because unless you always have a miserable mindset, then yes, things are hard. Things suck. You don't have any luck. Your life is terrible. Sure. Right. If that's the way you always think, then yes.
I always think you're right. You get what you think about. Life is a mirror to your stuff. And at any point, you can change that.
Absolutely.
I will say that, you know, for me, I think my whole thing all my life was to avoid pain.
Absolutely.
You know, like more emotional pain, but pain. Emotional pain. I didn't mind.
Like, think about what you went through.
Yeah, right.
You probably developed that block.
Yeah, and when I say pain, I don't even really mean physical pain, because I've been punched as part of a sport, I don't want to feel that heavy stuff. And I think, like, now I go, I've done so much dumb things, woken up in places with people I didn't know. You know, I know my mother watches this once in a while.
We're sorry,
but
Mom.
she did, she did call me the promiscuous one once, so I got it.
So she knows.
Yeah, she knows. Okay. But the thing is, like, none of that ever. It doesn't. It's not fulfilling. What it doesn't. It leaves you almost more empty inside.
Almost all of the time, sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if so, you know that, so you change your
Well,
mindset, and you don't do that, and you get rewarded with something else.
But at my age, you know, I mean, what are you doing?
No, I don't know, because like you're not that much older than me, so I like
no,
you're telling me I have nothing to look forward to.
No, you certainly do. I mean, look, I certainly there's a lot of fun you can have, but I also think like this stuff right now is the most important, and I don't want to sound too dramatic, so I'll try to. I won't use the first word that popped in my head, but directing my son to be the best that he can be is a more important thing to me right now.
100%.
And I think that also the success, right? Seeing him, they watch, right? They watch. Kids notice everything. And so you want to be able to say, hey, look what I did, without saying, look what I did. Right.
Absolutely.
You just kind of just show up.
And if you don't think like he doesn't find a sense of pride, like they do, kids do.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I go, because my son Lewis works right across the street, this little Israeli restaurant from us. And I'll go in there every once in a while and have a drink and just, shoot the shit, especially if I haven't seen him in a couple of days or whatever, because our schedules are so different. And I cannot tell you, probably 5 out of 6 times I go in there, someone at the bar comes over to me and says, oh my God, your son talks about you all the time. Oh, he's such a good kid. And they go on and on and on. So I'm sure, like you said, Jameson, your other boys, they're seeing this. They're also seeing that you're like putting in all this effort. You're putting in all this work. That's not nothing. That's so great. And I think he is going to see it. And even if he's too cool for all of us right now, Jameson. And you know what
Uh-oh, where'd you go? Will she come back? I'll take her off the screen for a second there.
Sorry, I lost you. But
there you are.
Eventually he isn't gonna be, and
yeah.
He's gonna be, and you're gonna run into one of his buddies, and he's gonna be like, oh my God, you're Jameson's dad. You're so fucking cool.
Well, I think for him, it was funny because he had a buddy over yesterday, and we went to pick up pizza, and when I walked into the pizza shop, there were all these people talking to me. And he says to his buddy, everywhere we go, people know him. And I go, well, that's not really true anymore. I haven't been on the radio in a number of years. And he goes, Dad, we were just at this restaurant, and you went over to the bathroom, and this guy's like, hey, you're Bill Moran. You're a legend. And I laughed, and his friend said, how does that make you feel? And I said, it's really nice that you were able to do something that meant something to somebody. I think beyond the dick jokes, beyond the silliness, that there was a connection there, that you were a friend on the radio or a friend on the podcast or whatever that is.
That show specifically, and I think you're building that so much. Like I listen to your podcast. Like you have such a community in such a short time already with characters that people know and connect to, which is what the break room did. So I remember
that was a lot.
Like once I got on the payroll, I remember feeling like, how do I get to get paid to come in and laugh so hard every single morning? Every morning. It was worth the 3 o'clocks. It was worth the stress. It was worth every second, because we would laugh so hard. I would go home with like a stomach ache every day. Just how the way you start your day, the community that rallied around you when something would change.
Yeah.
Remember when we had to start playing music and people went friggin' berserk because how dare they cut out their precious talk with this bullshit music we can hear all afternoon? Like, it's just what you've done is you do have a legacy, and I think what you're doing is like all roads lead to this. I think this is always you're going to have to evolve out of radio, because radio is gonna evolve into something else. It already was when you were there, So,
Well,
I think everything that's being sent to you is like all roads lead to somewhere you're supposed to be.
I certainly wasn't looking to have you blow smoke up my rear end, but people go, look at this. But no, I agree with you. I look back on my career, and because I turn off my feelings, when I left CMF, and I did it abruptly, and I remember being on a boat headed into Disney, and I'm getting calls from local reporters going, hey, what's going on? And it was reporters that I had brought on the show quite a bit. And I said, I really can't comment on anything. And it was kind of cool, but I kind of turned off everything about that show. I just shut it down. And I went on and tried something else that wasn't as successful, and then something that was extremely successful. And I think that when I stopped and I looked back, and it was more when Dan agreed to come on the podcast, because he and I hadn't talked for a while. And then he and I had a kind of a disagreement over something that was more my fault than anything, believe it or not. And I look back and I go, God damn, that show was unbelievable. It really, really was a fantastic show. And I loved bringing in all the characters and stuff. And I think Tommy was very reticent to that stuff, but he was so funny. He was so naturally funny that I have said to Tommy Lay for years that he is probably the funniest person I have ever heard on the radio. And to have had that time to just work with him, both as part of a different show, the We Show, and then when it was whittled down to just he and I, basically, and Danny or whoever else was in there. It was amazing, and I will always treasure that. But I don't.
Me too.
Yeah,
he is probably the funniest.
Absolutely, one of the most naturally.
I've hung out with some comedians. He's the
me too. Me too.
His. If you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss everything.
Mm-hmm.
He would say you would be talking about something. He would say something
underneath.
My God, just the little
underneath
the comments. Yeah. He's so fast.
Right.
I haven't heard their show in a long time. So
I would say
I'm sure he's the same.
I have not either, and it has nothing to do with anything. Not a bitterness thing on me. I just haven't. And I would think that it is probably just as good, if not better, than it was when we were there. And a lot of that is due to him, but also the people around him. They all work very hard and well together. I'm sure they do. Absolutely. It's interesting. And at the same time, and I don't know about how you feel about these kind of things, for me, it was all I wanted to do was radio. So I did it. From a young age on, that was kind of my thing. And yet I have no longing for it anymore. And I think because I do this, but I love not having anybody to really answer to. I don't have to do shit. Yeah, I don't have to do shit I don't want to do. I mean, maybe a little bit.
Something you don't want to say, or have an opinion,
or have to go somewhere and have to fucking.
You don't have to worry about like branding and things. Yeah. I feel fortunate enough in my career. I've done so many different kinds of projects that there are definitely projects that I am not interested in anymore. And I get to say, I don't want to do this docuseries about this family because, for whatever reason, because it doesn't feel right to me, and I can say no and not feel bad about turning something down, because if I turn around and look at the things I have done, it's like, who cares? Nobody's watching this shit anyway. Right. Except for the parade.
Well, that parade thing was unbelievable. Thank you so much for getting Jameson and I some access to that. I've been doing some things with him where I'll post once in a while. I don't think he's always comfortable with it, but I call it our mandate. And
I like it.
yeah,
I like it.
It's a mandate. So
it's a mandate.
Yeah,
and it's a mandated.
It's a mandated mandate, and I think it's mandated more because it's needed, right? And I think that a lot of times, for me, I don't know about you, it was easier to bury myself in work than to actually deal with the shit in front of me. And so now, part of this, part of the whole thing with the mental health counseling stuff is, oh boy, buddy, you better figure your shit out fast.
Is it like, I'm curious, is it cracking things open for, you don't have to tell me, but like for you personally that you weren't expecting, where you're just like, oh, wow, I guess I never thought about something that way, or maybe this is the way I do things because of this reason. Like, are you learning stuff about yourself in the process, or is it very much like you're learning what bipolarism is, you know? Is it kind of helping you with some self-awareness, or is it very clinical?
No, there's a lot of self-awareness, tremendous amount of self-awareness stuff. There's a book that I had to read that I would say is perfect for anybody who would just be therapy. If you had an actual diagnosis of something, you may need something a little more intense. But this was really about feelings. And it was simple examples like, let's say you and somebody are in a relationship and the person you go to, they're coming back from a business trip, so you're excited to see them, so you make their favorite dinner and you've got it ready and the candles, and you go pick them up at the airport and you're all excited. You get in the car and you say, hey, I made this dinner and I'm so excited you're home. And, when will it be ready? As soon as we get back? Fantastic. Because then I can go meet my friends at the bar at 10. And you stuff it down and you don't say anything. And it builds up and it builds up and it builds resentment. And I think that's a very relatable thing to a lot of people. But I think that getting in touch with your emotions, realizing, and here are the things, like on a spiritual side, I say this, but there's a reality to it as well, that your feelings are your guidance, right? Something feels off, something doesn't feel right, something's uncomfortable, something's this. But your feelings are your guidance. So when you can actually sit with the emotions and understand that and allow things to be over and realize that, a lot of life is lived up here. But yes, it has uncovered a lot. I have avoided emotions. I compartmentalize things, which I think is also very beneficial. Like I could have a conversation about somebody getting killed in a DWI accident and then say, well, it was nice to see you guys, and I'm really glad you're here at this comedy show, and then go out on stage and do 10 minutes of funny, because I can compartmentalize. I don't know that that's very healthy. I have no idea. But I would also say that being, really seeing, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, fuck, I'm fucked up. I gotta deal with this stuff. And I've got to, admit to myself and stop avoiding, because I would rather go have fun than have to deal with the serious stuff in life. So I would rather go drink and, meet some girl, and that would become my priority. And I'd go running out there. And I think that, it's taken me to this point in the course even to go, okay, I can't do that anymore. I don't really have the time for it. And right now
that's good, and it makes you approach things differently. And then it
does. And I would say, like, in a very realistic way, I think that I don't know, I enjoy this. I enjoy the counseling side of things. So I have no idea where it all goes. But
I figured you would. You've always been into that, like.
Well, I'm curious.
Not the what, it's always the why.
The why, right?
It's always like, this story is funny, but why did this person dress in a rabbit suit and drive, 700 miles an hour? Like, what is, it's
what's the underlying thing?
I mean, me.
Yeah, and I've always thought that about alcoholism and everything. Well, we can say you have a disease, but what caused it? What are you avoiding? What are you hiding from? Why is this? Yeah, because drinking's, I'll say it all the time, because drinking's fun, man. Drugs are fun. They're fun.
Yes,
They're a lot of fun, but they can also ruin you.
Right.
And you got to be able to.
You can't even do cocaine anymore, so forget that.
I know, so sad.
It is.
Well, I know people who, I may or may not know people who still do cocaine, and I don't know. I'm not as comfortable.
Listen, it just is too scary. There are just too many. Like, I had a friend of mine pass away on my birthday from some dirty, because they're putting fentanyl in it, and it just is like
this year.
No, this was 2019, I think.
Okay, well, not that long ago.
But
6 years ago.
anytime you hear, do you remember that story of those Kansas City Chiefs guys that were hanging out at that guy's house in the backyard?
Yes.
And he woke up in the morning
Yes.
and 3 of them were dead.
Yes.
Fentanyl and the cocaine. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it, because they put it in there because it's highly addictive and they're only supposed to put a little bit, but they put too much and you die. So the fact that you even have to like figure out if you're going to die, like, I can't even go there.
No,
I
and
have to figure out if I'm gonna die first. Like, no, sorry, I'm good.
I mean, all cocaine is adult Adderall, as a friend of mine says. But I would rather
somebody who's got some Adderall.
I'll just take the Adderall.
That's what you need. Like,
Yeah, believe me,
no.
I love Adderall. I'm to the point now where I almost need it to get through the day.
I have to stay away from like all that. The weed is as strong as it gets for me. I have to stay away from all that stuff. I just can't. I've never been that kind of, I'm too anxious of a person. You do not want to give an anxious person an upper.
Well, I can see myself get a little anxious from time to time, but it's now to the point where it's like, if I don't have it, I think I would sleep all day because I'm drained. And, I mean, look,
careful.
you've, right. I had somebody say that to me, but you've lived through this in the last 6 months. For me, I lost my dad. I had a personal relationship that I put to an end. There was another relationship that kind of went nowhere. There was, all the moving parts of this. You're a single dad. I mean, I don't mean that like his mom just doesn't live in this town.
Right.
So there's all those things you're trying to navigate. And then you took on grad school and so and an intense program because it's got to be done by 2027.
Absolutely.
And I go, God damn, I'm burned out. And somehow the Adderall has helped me and I get shit done. And I find myself doing things like, I'm turning the TV off. I got to go do this right now. I got to do this. And I don't know if that's the Adderall giving you clarity. I have no idea because I would melt into my couch and just watch anything and everything for no reason. And then wake up and go, why did I waste those hours? So
I mean, obviously, like doctors don't like. I don't know. You're not gonna get something that is gonna hurt you. But just be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yes, you will get stuff done, and there are people who need it chemically. Your body just doesn't make the chemicals you need to do the things that you don't make enough serotonin or dopamine, and that stuff helps you to achieve those levels.
I think this body isn't making enough of anything. Testosterone, I need more of. I got all of it.
I get leery. I've seen a lot of addiction in this industry a lot because, people want to, if they're enjoying what they're doing, they want to go through a wall to do it, and they'll, to do anything. And so, just everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Good note to end on, Alex. I can't wait to hear about the Mr. Beast stuff.
Yeah, I will keep you posted and let you know. I'll let you know, whatever's next, I'll let you know. Hopefully I'm in a position where next year for the 100th, I could go back and do the parade again. Cause it was such an amazing experience and I would love to be part of the 100th year. But if not, like I left nothing on the table. You know what I mean? I feel like I got everything out of that. It was amazing. I said to my people leader like 1,000 times, like, thank you so much for thinking of me and bringing me into this. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, that is, and I can't thank you enough for getting Jameson and I into that. That was so much fun. That was very cool. Very cool. For Alex, who still talks to me, hang on 1 second after we're done here. I got a question. I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you tomorrow.
I woke up in a hotel, didn't know what to do. I turned the TV.
So how do I do titles on I got this project I got to do.